Hey, I'm Miguel. My family and I just moved into 109.
Great, more immigrants.
Actually, we're from Riverside. But anyways, I was just wondering if you were having trouble with your water pressure, because I know our state's being a little weird right now. Oh, bottles go in the blue bin.
Listen, Menudo. I've lived in this shithole for over 10 years. The pipes don't work, the fountain's full of piss. And the only good thing about being here is I don't have to talk to anybody. So nice knowing you.
Hey, Ryan. Hi, this is Sarah Palin.
Ryan, Donald Trump Jr.
Harsh to win, see you. Hey, everybody, I want y'all to check out a fellow Marines podcast.
My name is Ted Neutron, and I got a call from my buddy Ryan F. Samuels, and he wants me to tell you that he's a working hard, playing all-American son of a who is celebrating God, family, country.
Welcome to the Ryan Samuels Show, one of the top political podcasts in the United States, where we have a healthy distrust for government and mainstream media. The Ryan Samuels Show is a raw, unfiltered look at American politics. Follow on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and all podcast platforms. Here is your host, Ryan Samuels.
Hello, Patriots. So we've been covering the border consistently. It's wide open. It's an absolute joke. It's an absolute shit show. And the Senate has just come out with a bill that Congress is going to immediately decline. And we're going to go into a political battle that the Democrats are going to blame the Republicans and the Republicans are going to blame the Democrats. It's nonsense. It's all smoke and mirrors. Joe Biden has complete and utter authority to stop the border invasion now. Right now, as it sits, he has the complete authority to stop it. Why is he not stopping it? Well, the answer is simple. He doesn't want to stop it. He wants the border open. He wants illegal immigrants to come flooding in because they vote Democrat. By the time they become legalized, they vote Democrat. The more Democratic votes that you have, the better you are at getting into office. They just want a one-party system. That's it. They want to get millions and billions of billions and billions or millions and millions, however many they can get, into the United States so they can turn around and stay in power. That's the bottom notion to this game. Now, the bill that the Senate immigration bill that is being proposed it's absolute nonsense. There's nothing valuable in it whatsoever. You couldn't even call it a border bill. You could call it a Ukraine funding bill, but you could not call it a border bill. Here's what Mike Johnson just tweeted out earlier today about the border bill. My joint statement with Stephen Scalise, the GOP minority whip, and Representative Stefanik regarding the Senate's immigration bill. House Republicans oppose the Senate immigration bill because it fails in every policy area needed to secure our border and would actually incentivize more illegal immigration. Among its many flaws, the border expands work authorization for illegal aliens while failing to conclude critical asylum reforms. Even worse, its language allowing illegals to be released from physical custody would effectively endorse the Biden catch and release policy. The so-called shutdown authority in the bill is anything but, riddled with loopholes that grant far too much discretionary authority to Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who has proven he will exploit every measure possible in defiance of the law to keep the border open. The bill also fails to adequately stop the president's abuse of parole authority and provides for taxpayers' funds to fly and house illegal immigrants in hotels through the FEMA Shelter and Services Program. Because President Joe Biden has refused to utilize his broad executive authority to end the border catastrophe that he has created. The House led 9 months ago with the passage of the Secure the Border Act, H.R. 2. That bill contains the necessary components to actually stem the flow of illegals and end the present crisis. The Senate must take it up immediately. America's sovereignty is at stake. Any consideration of this Senate bill in its current form is a waste of time. It is dead on arrival in the House. We encourage the United States Senate to reject it. So he's saying it's never going to pass, that they're proposing this, and it's never going to pass. It's never coming through. Like, don't even waste your time. Don't even bother sending it here, because it's nonsense, and it's absolutely nonsense. It's 100%. I mean, it couldn't be any worse. And we're going to get into it. We're going to go over some text of the bill of actually what's in it. Here's what Steve Scalise tweeted out. Let's be clear. The Senate border bill will not receive a vote in the House. Here's what the people pushing this quote-unquote deal aren't telling you. It accepts 5,000 illegal immigrants a day and gives automatic work permits to asylum recipients, a magnet for more illegal immigration. Do the math. 5,000 illegal immigrants a day, all given work permits. All given work permits. It's insanity. It's preposterous. Here's a portion of the bill that gives funding to Ukraine. Now, why would a border bill give funding to Ukraine? Why wouldn't the border bill give funding to, I don't know, say the border? I mean, I would think that a funding bill, a border bill, would only have, border stuff in it. That's not true in politics. So anytime you hear any type of bill, there are things that are slipped in, and they're called pork, because they just fatten up the bill and try to get anything passed that they can under the guise of something else. It's nonsense. So here is a portion of this new bill that the Senate is proposing. We have it highlighted here for you. It says that funds made available in preceding provision may be made available to support the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine and National Police of Ukraine, including units supporting or under the command of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Who gives a rat's ass about Ukraine when our border is wide open? But this is politics in the world today. I got a couple of videos we're going to play here. But as of right now, before we begin, I need you to hit that like button, follow this channel, and subscribe for more content. Now, here is the holiness of idiocracy talking about the border situation.
For example, in the bill the president introduced in his first day in office more than 1,000 days ago, he requested funding to develop and deploy expediting screening technology to improve our ability to catch narcotics and contraband at every port of entry. Republicans never acted on the bill. For example, in the bill,
they're going to blame Republicans. It's Corinne Jean-Pierre, moron. They're going to blame Republicans. Well, the data are giving us the funding. They're not giving us the money. The President of the United States has complete authority to close the border at any point in time. At any point in time, the President of the United States can say, we're not doing this, shut the border down, we're not letting anybody else in, get them all out of here. They can do that. Joe Biden's not doing that. He's not going to do that. I mean, he's made that abundantly clear. But they're saying that the president, quote unquote, needs more power. But the Democratic Party has gone so far to the left, it's unrecognizable. It's unrecognizable to Bill Clinton when he was president. If you want to know how far left, how far extreme the Democratic Party has become, let's watch this video of Bill Clinton and his State of the Union address talking about the crisis at the border back in the 90s.
Not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
Oh my God. Radical views from Bill Clinton. That used to be considered standard in this country, but not anymore. Now we want open borders, wide open borders, and we want nobody to be held accountable. We want millions of people to crumb across the border every single day, and we don't want to stop it. And we have not very long, less than a year until the election. We're moving into the 2024 election with Trump and Biden. So, of course, Biden is trying to blame Donald Trump. And he's trying to say that the Democrats are trying to do common sense border policies, but Donald Trump is forcing them not to. Even you have the establishment, elite like Mitt Romney coming out and saying this. Now, Mitt Romney he's not a Republican. He's a Democrat. I'm sorry, he is. He's an establishment guy. I mean, he ran for president and he lost. I mean, it is what it is. Let's listen to what he had to say on this bill.
Former President Trump has indicated to senators that he does not want us to solve the problem at the border. He wants to lay the blame for the border at Biden. And the idea that someone running for president would say, please hurt the country so I can blame my opponent and help my politics is a shocking development.
Do you think this is what he wants, the issue, Donald Trump? This is why he's doing it?
I think the border is a very important issue for Donald Trump. And the fact that he would communicate to Republican senators and congresspeople that he doesn't want us to solve the border problem because he wants to blame Biden for it is really appalling.
So what does that say that what he is saying carries weight here? What does it say that Republicans are listening to?
Well, it's shocking that politics plays a role in this building. Absolutely shocking. I can't imagine that's the case.
Ukraine is on the line.
But the reality is that we have a crisis at the border. The American people are.
Notice how he skirted right around that. Listen to this. But Ukraine is on the line.
Border. The American people are suffering as a result is that we have a crisis at the border. The American people are suffering as a result that politics plays a role in this building. Absolutely shocking. I can't imagine that's the case.
Ukraine is on the line.
But the reality is that we
that.
have a crisis at the border. The American people are suffering as a result of what's happening at the border. And someone running for president ought to try and get the problem solved, as opposed to saying, "Hey, save that problem. Don't solve it. Let me take credit for solving it later."
But Joe Biden can solve it right now, Mitt. I mean, why aren't you telling that to Joe Biden to solve the border crisis? But this is the dialogue that we're seeing, and this is the agenda that is being pushed. Not agenda. This is the word track that is being used because they're trying to blame Republicans when Joe Biden has full authority to change this himself.
Right now, the president has said that he is prepared to sign a bipartisan immigration bill. Right now, the president has said he will put an additional $14 billion into securing the border. What has been the response from my Republican colleagues in the House? No. The response is no.
The response is no because the stuff you have in the bill is garbage. It's not a border bill. That's why the response is no. But this is intentional by the Democrats. So it's a win-win for the Democrats. They structure this bill to make it benefit all the Democratic policies. They have all the wins. Republicans have 0 wins. They have all the losses. Ukraine gets his funding, along with they grant the president more power that he doesn't need, but just more power that he could use against the citizens. And if they put enough political pressure on him and the bill passes, they win. If the bill doesn't pass, they get to blame Republicans for it not passing. So they also win. So the Republicans are in a strategic lose-lose situation here.
Trump doesn't want it, so we don't want it. We don't want a solution. We don't want to alleviate suffering. We don't want to actually secure the border. So you have to give me some grace. You got to forgive me for not believing the calls for this being such an emergency. A bipartisan group in the Senate says, we have a solution. The MAGA response has been, let's keep the chaos, we're good. Let's keep the suffering, we're good. This supposed extreme danger doesn't seem so extreme as I sit in this hearing because it's not good for the ex-president. So again, forgive me for not taking this hearing seriously. Our Republican colleagues have made it clear repeatedly that they will not work in a bipartisan manner on actual immigration reform.
Because any bipartisan agreement with Democrats on immigration is to legalize the illegal immigrants. They won't settle for anything less. They won't settle for anything less. Here is Donald Trump talking about the border bill and the situation.
The so-called border security deal Biden is gushing out and pushing out is not designed to stop illegal immigration. It's designed to continue the invasion of America while sending billions of dollars to Ukraine and other countries. And you know, Ukraine's an interesting case. People always want to know my feeling. Number one, we're in for 200 billion plus, and the European nations are in for 20 billion. And it's more important for them. And don't you think they should equalize? Nobody asks them. It's like I did with NATO. I said, we're paying for NATO, and we don't get so much out of it. And you know, I hate to tell you this about NATO. If we ever needed their help, let's say we were attacked, I don't believe they'd be there. I don't believe. I know the people. I know them. I can tell you country by country who would be there and who, but I don't believe they'd be there. But I took care of NATO. I said, you got to pay your bills. If you don't pay your bills, we're not going to be there to support you. And the following day, the money came rolling into.
But that's exactly what he's saying, too, is that this is a border bill for Ukraine, to fund Ukraine. And it's nonsense. Mike Johnson has been, we all know is the new Speaker of the House, has been completely open and against this bill from the beginning. Let's hear what he had to say when he was on Meet the Press.
Now, Mr. Speaker, you know as well as I do that an executive order would only be met by legal challenges. You have a chance to do something right now. The details we laid out are not rumors. That is based on negotiators who were in the room. Were you offered a briefing on this compromise bill, and will you put it on the floor?
Well, when they began to do the negotiation, I suggested immediately after taking the gavel, I suggested to Senate leadership that the House should be involved. We should be in the room. I wanted to send the chairman of our committees of jurisdiction to be a part of that negotiation, and they said, no, let the Senate take care of it. We'll send you something that is palatable.
Were you offered a briefing, Mr. Speaker?
What we're hearing right now is not.
But were you offered a briefing?
No, I have not been. No, I've had individual senators call and give me tips and offered things that are going on in the room, but we've not been a part of that negotiation, and I have been absolutely clear from day one, since literally the next morning after been handed the gavel in late October, what the functional equivalents of H.R. 2, what those are, and why that was necessary to solve the problem. I took 64 House Republicans to the border in January. We heard from the people in charge, the Border Patrol agents, the people there, and they said, these are the things that you must do to stem the flow. flow. And the reason we have the biggest immigration catastrophe, border catastrophe in U.S. history is because President Biden took these actions. I can name them for you specifically what he did.
Speaker,
he does have executive authority right now.
Mr. Speaker, you talk about H.R. 2. Again, Senator Lindsey Graham, your Republican colleagues say that stands no chance of passing through the Senate. You have an opportunity to do something right now about the situation at the border, which you've been calling for new legislation on the border since you first took office. But let me...
So, I mean, obviously she's thwarted and one-sided. We know that because it's Meet the Press. But they keep calling this a bipartisan bill, and it's not a bipartisan bill. It may be a bipartisan bill in the Senate, but not in the House. I mean, it's nonsense. There's other sections of the bill that are deeply concerning. Here's another section that says, judicial review, notwithstanding any other provision of this act, judicial review of any decision or action in this section shall be governed only by the United States District Court of the District of Columbia, which shall have sole and original jurisdiction to hear challenges, whether constitutional or otherwise, to the validity of this section or any written policy directive, written policy guideline, written procedure, or implementation thereof issued by or under the authority of secretary to implement this section. So any law, because there's going to be a million, if this gets passed, there's going to be a million lawsuits because it's outrageous. There's nonprofit organizations that are going to come out, they're going to sue this. So what they're doing is that they're isolating all of these lawsuits to a court that they know is stacked with Democrats, which is the District of Columbia, so that the bill will continue to stand. It's a scam. I mean, everything that Washington, D.C. does is a scam, but this is outrageous. This is absolutely outrageous to think that this bill, that they could slip this through and get away with this. I mean, House Republicans are not going to go for this. House Republicans are very far right these days, which is a good thing for the Republican Party. It's not a good thing for the Democrats. You know, after the 2020 election, we saw an influx in people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who got elected into the office after, you know, the quote-unquote swamp was exposed, and got in there specifically to stop this kind of nonsense. And there's a ton of them that we could name, but that's why they're in there. Here is Beto O'Rourke. So remember what we were saying earlier. If the bill passes, the Democrats win because they get everything they want that's in the bill. Ukraine funding, under the Washington District Court jurisdiction, where they'll certainly win on every ruling. And if it doesn't pass, then they get to blame Republicans for the problem at the border and say, no, it's Donald Trump creating this chaos because he wants you to suffer so he can get reelected and become the dictator.
Donald Trump's Republican Party operating in a different reality than ours. They call black, white, war, peace. They describe the president manufacturing a crisis to enjoy the political benefit when they're literally admitting that they're doing that. Donald Trump and his Republican Party do not want a solution. For all the bluster about the chaos at the border and the quote-unquote invasion that they're talking about, he and his Republican Party are tanking the best offer that they're ever going to get from President Biden and from Senate Democrats. President Biden and Senate Dems have conceded on almost every major point without getting any new provisions for dreamers, for legal pathways to citizenship. This is really a Republican dream bill, and he's torpedoed it because he'd rather use this as a political issue in November. So it's very clear now that the Republican Party is all for chaos on the border. welcoming the disorder and the lack of security that we're seeing in Texas right now.
You hear that? It's all the Republicans' fault. They gave them every amazing piece of this bill that will fix the border crisis. They have conceded. You heard Beto O'Rourke. They have conceded to you, to Republicans. This is a gift, and they're stopping. They don't want us to resolve the problem. We're trying to resolve the problem. It's nonsense. The bill is packed with pork that is you can't even stomach if you're a conservative.
The Senate's deal is trash.
The height of stupidity is having a strong opinion on something you know nothing about. So I don't have a strong opinion on the bill because I haven't seen it. Nobody has.
Well, it's a crappy bill. I mean, it's terrible. The thing is terrible.
There's not a bill yet. We haven't seen a bill yet. So, so I don't know why we would undermine the effort to make the country safer.
That's not a border deal. That's a slap in the American people's face.
You got to read the bill. I mean, don't be ignorant. Read the bill.
It's really remarkable. One person who hasn't read the bill is Donald Trump, and he has been leaning hard on his members. Why does he?
So here's the thing. Here's what's going on, and here's the video explaining this video. There are some Republicans who are saying, I haven't read the bill, like Dan Crenshaw, so I'm not going to go against it because I don't really know anything about it. There are other Republicans who are completely against it, and they're saying, and other people are saying, well, they haven't saw the bill, they haven't read the bill. Listen, if you're in Congress and you don't think you have maybe some insight as to what's going on in the Senate, if you aren't having conversations with people in the Senate about what's actually in there, what's actually good, what's actually bad, I mean, don't be naive. Of course they have an idea of what's in it. Of course they know. If they have one policy in it that they've been made aware of by a cohort who works in the Senate or a Senate staffer or anybody where they got wind that this is just a Ukraine funding bill, and they say, well, we're not going to pass it if it has any funding to Ukraine in it whatsoever, the conversation's over. There's no reason to go any further. But now CNN is twisting this and saying that, well, they haven't even read the bill yet.
I mean, is it as clear as he doesn't want to give Joe Biden a victory here, which is why he's trying to scuttle this effort?
I think it's twofold. One, yes, I don't think he wants to give Joe Biden a victory, particularly on immigration, a topic that is very important to Donald Trump. But also, part of this is self-preservation. You have to remember that Donald Trump wants to run on three things in 2024 against Joe Biden. He wants to run on the economy, crime, and immigration. And if you're fixing one of those problems, then you're running on less, and particularly given that we know that the economy has been ticking upwards, and there is a chance it's going to look very different next November. So part of this is self-preservation in terms of what do you want to really run on in 2024? This is Donald Trump's issue. I mean, if you
Hold on, let's rewind that for a second.
To really run on, it's going to look very different. It's to run on the economy, crime, and immigration. And if you're fixing one of those problems, then you're running on less, and particularly given that we know that the economy has been ticking upwards. And
The economy's been ticking upwards. Nonsense.
there is a chance it's going to look very different next November. So part of this is self-preservation in terms of what do you want to really run on in 2024? This is Donald Trump's issue. I mean, if you hear him in that interview with Maria Bartiromo saying that you should be ashamed of yourself if you vote for this, again, nobody has even seen the text. He is clearly telegraphing, or not even telegraphing, just saying the message there, I'm opposed to this and I'm opposed to anyone who votes for it.
Well, the text is out now. It wasn't out when they were all talking about this, and we went over the text, and the text is nonsense. And you know, at the end of the day, the President of the United States, with the laws on the books, has the power and the authority to fix this issue now. He can stop the border. He can stop it, but he won't. He will not stop it. He will not stop the invasion. They want the invasion. They need the invasion. They want to change the demographics of the United States of America. They want to have a uniparty system where they will stay in power forever. That is the purpose of leaving the border wide open. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and we will see you tomorrow night.
Thanks for tuning in to The Ryan Samuels Show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.